If you've ever felt like you wanted to leave this earth, or life was dull and dreadful and boring and had no meaning in a negative way, as in like there's no reason or point to all of this or to live, then this is for you. These are the 7 mindsets, beliefs that have kept me from wanting to and made me excited to live. So the first one is that negative emotions and experiences are not there, they don't exist to punish you. They are amazing teachers. We learn so much more from negative experiences and emotions than we do from positive ones. I know they don't feel good at all, but our negative experiences, for example, can teach us and show us what we like and what we don't like, what we prefer and what we don't prefer, so that we can change our life around so that it can be something that we enjoy, and our negative emotions, they show us, if we're angry, shows us what our boundaries are. If we're sad, shows us what to change. Like if you're upset about something in your life or about yourself, it shows you what you have to or want to change, whether that be changing something about yourself or working on something in yourself, changing jobs, changing friends, changing relationship status. And if the negative didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to experience the positive, because that's the duality of life and of the universe, the universal law of polarity. You can't have one without the other. And negative experiences, emotions give us a greater capacity to feel things like happiness and joy, and to appreciate when we are experiencing those things. Because if you've never experienced anything negative, how would you have a deep sense of appreciation for when you experience positive things? And how would you be grateful for experiencing positive things if you don't know the opposite end of what it's like to experience, The second thing is loving yourself makes life worth living, because it teaches you how to better love others, and you start choosing and realizing what you actually want from yourself and from life, and what actually makes you happy. And learning how to love yourself makes life feel so much better, because you can romanticize everything. You could romanticize yourself and your life, no matter how much you didn't like it before, no matter how mundane it is or boring, and it can transform your life into something that you also love. For example, if we don't love ourselves, we're not going to be able to love other people at our fullest potential. We wouldn't be able to be soft and compassionate and proud of ourselves. We wouldn't be able to appreciate ourselves, and that would make life terrible. And we wouldn't be able to have the courage to choose things that are best for us and choose things that make us happy, whether that be something small that you do every day, a hobby, new hobbies that you try, that you pick up, or old ones, making the choice to change jobs to something that you like better, or choosing good people to be friends with and not settling for anything in platonic and romantic relationships. Maybe because you don't love yourself, so you don't think you deserve good things. A random example, again, you don't decide to move to the place that you have always loved because you don't think it's worth it, because you don't think you're worth it. And loving yourself allows you to choose the better version of all of those things, so that you can create a life for yourself that you love and that you enjoy, and so that you can choose happiness and peace. Because when we dislike or hate on other people, it's because we have that hate in our hearts for ourselves. Because if you have experienced something, or if you have an insecurity, for example, you are going to hate other people when you realize or recognize the thing that you don't like about yourself in them. Another example, if you are a successful business owner, you're not going to hate on people who are just starting out and who don't really know what they're doing, versus a person who has never tried to start or build anything. They don't like that about themselves because they've disregarded their own dreams. So they take that energy and take it out on people who are starting businesses and chasing their dreams, which is leading to my next point. That is, people who don't like you don't even like themselves. And when you realize that, it makes life worth living. And when you stop focusing on anything that people negatively say or think or feel about you, they don't exist anymore. Like for me, I go through phases in my life where I stay rooted in all of my beliefs, and then maybe something will change in my life and then it'll distract me from everything that I believe, and I'll forget everything that I say and I'll struggle. This, for example, I would notice a lot when people would have anything negative to say, because I'm very good at reading people. So there was a time in my life where I was so focused on that if anybody was thinking negatively about me, I could see it just by the way that they're looking at me. And because I was so focused on that, I might have even assumed as well that some people were thinking something negative when they weren't. But I definitely know that some people were at that time in my life. Move forward, I grow and learn a bunch of new things, and I start focusing on myself and learning how to heal and love myself and fall in love with life. Then a major change happens in my life again, and I start hyper-focusing again on anything negative that people feel towards me. Because of me focusing on that, I saw it everywhere all over again, versus before, when I wasn't focused on that and I was focusing on myself and my peace. All of a sudden, everybody who had anything negative to say, they all disappeared. They didn't exist anymore. They went away. And that goes to show how powerful our minds are, because when we focus on something, we create more of it in our reality. And when you stop hyper-focusing on any negative thing that people have to say, it makes life so much better because they don't exist anymore in our world. And it makes life so much more peaceful, and it lets us focus on the things that we actually want to focus on, that has a positive effect on our brains, and that makes life better. My next point is, this isn't really it's more of an approach to life, but don't date just to date, and don't have friends just to have friends. Don't engage in these types of relationships just to fill in room in your life and just to fill in time. Be picky with who you decide to let in your life in those ways, because who we have in our lives directly affect our beliefs about life, our beliefs about ourselves, our success, our happiness, our peace. So when you are selective with who is your friend and who you date, it filters out all of the people who wouldn't make your life better and who would just take up time and not give you anything valuable. And it leaves room for the people who you can actually build meaningful connections with, who would make your life better and who would make you a happier person. And it's so freeing when you actually remove people that you don't even fully enjoy spending time around, who don't provide anything meaningful to you. Like, they're not people who you could come to if you ever have a problem. They're not people who you can share the deepest parts of your soul with. And for me, if that's not the case in relationships or friendships, then I don't want it. And that makes life so much more precious, I think. And when I have been around people in my life who just take up space, it made life feel more dead. Like, what's the point to this? Like, it took away from my happiness and my joy. My next point is, everything happens for a reason and when it is meant to. I have debated at different points in my life whether I believe that just to cope with life and just to cope with like when life felt meaningless. But I think that it is very true because I've experienced so many things where I had no idea why something was happening to me, and then time would pass and I would realize why, or like something would happen from that thing that I was questioning, and then it made my life better. So that also ties into the fact that what I said earlier of negative emotions, experiences are not there to punish you, and everything in life happens for your benefit, even if it doesn't feel like that in the moment. To use an extreme example, on 9/11, my aunt's friend's son worked in one of the towers, and that day, his mom made him late for work. If he had not been late that day, he would have been in New York in the towers when the plane hit. That is a real extreme example of everything happens for a reason. Another example, I went to 2 different high schools, and if I hadn't moved to the other one my senior year, I would not have been ready to be at that school again because it was my hometown and I knew the people there and I didn't like them. And because I moved my senior year, I had a much better experience because everyone was a little more mature. And I met so many great people that I hadn't met before. And if I had moved earlier, because also before I moved, I was constantly thinking, why is this happening? Because I did not want to go back. But then I went back, I experienced my senior year, and so many amazing things came out of it. Like the friends I made, relationships with teachers, and my next mindset. The point of life is to live. It is to live. It is to experience it because we are here temporarily. And the point of this is to find peace and joy and beauty in these small moments, in feeling the sun on our skin, feeling the breeze, going out in nature, sitting on a beach, sitting under a tree, appreciating the sky, appreciating small interactions that we have with people, waking up in the morning, being able to rest our bodies when we go to sleep at night, eating good food, traveling, experiencing your own culture and exploring other people's culture and learning different languages and making art and singing and going to the movie theater and wearing the clothes that you like, acting how you like, speaking how you like, reading what you like, enjoying a cup of coffee or a bottle of water on a hot day, feeling or watching the rain, experiencing each other, experiencing and talking to other people, smiling at a stranger, getting compliments or giving compliments, and loving ourselves and learning about ourselves and getting to know ourselves. All of that, that's the point to life. And when you rewire your brain to think that way, it makes everything feel better. And like, you feel grateful for everything, for every day. And you learn how to have gratitude and appreciation for really small things, because life is made up of those small moments. When you take a step back from only feeling joy and gratitude for the big moments in life and start doing that for the small moments, everything feels lighter, everything feels easier, and life feels like it has more meaning. Because also, life doesn't inherently have meaning, we give meaning to it. So that just helps you give it a meaning that makes it feel amazing to be alive. Last thing, the planet is alive and we are just here for the time being, and we are lucky to be able to be here for the time being. We're just souls temporarily staying on this planet because we were born and we will die. At least for me, it helped me to feel better about life because you know you're not going to be here forever, and that makes me just appreciate that I'm just visiting this planet. Different people could feel different ways about that, but that's something that has helped me not want to leave Earth, because I know I will naturally one day, so I might as well just stay here and appreciate this planet and experience its beauty and its people to the best of my ability and live day to day doing things that I like, even if it's just for 5 minutes, because that does have an effect on your quality of life. And knowing that everything happens for a reason, that also helps me go through hard times without resistance and just accepting it and taking it, because I know that it is teaching me something and making my life better in some way. And that also makes you realize that life is beautiful. I hope this was insightful in some way, and thank you for watching. If you had any thoughts, comment them. I would love to hear them, and take what resonated, leave what doesn't, and go forth, prosper.